Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Come on in, sit on down. It's time for a live Q&A session. Yes, it's a special episode. As you can see, it's 100,000 subscriber special. We made it. We made it to 100,000, and my wife surprised me with this lovely display when I came in after taking my son swimming this morning. Lovely to see. It was also, I was given this luxurious award by my wife as well, as you can see, for hitting 100,000. This is more valuable than any trophy made of gold, as you can understand. And of course, it's official. I am now an official shill. I've hit the 100,000 mark. There's no going back. All you out there who obviously don't believe anybody can get to 100,000 without being a shill, it's time to unsubscribe from me. I've got there, so it's now official. I'm going to be applying for the YouTube plaque soon. I do believe they send out with the little silver plaque a official shill card and an invitation to the next Bohemian Grove event for the sacrifice to Molech. So hopefully that should be coming in the post within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And it's time to sell out and bro down. So there we go. I've made it, guys. I'm officially there. I'm one of them now. But that being said, wow. This happened way faster than I anticipated. I'm not going to lie. Because, when I started talking about the little season stuff, there was a bit of a skyrocket of subscribers flurrying in because they loved listening to me ramble about that particular topic. And a lot of people stuck around, and the channel grew exponentially from about 40,000 subscribers to suddenly like 80,000 subscribers within a year, because of the diversification of the topic, of course. And then when I stopped talking about the little season, maybe about 5 months ago, so, the subscribers just went to a dead, slow snail-paced trail. Nothing coming in. Revenue just dropped drastically because it's lucrative to talk about that topic. And I think there was a period of time for like a month or two where the algorithm had no idea what to do with me anymore, and it started to revert back to the classic Nephilim look like clown stuff that I'm predominantly known for prior to all of this. And I think the algorithm has kind of randomly over the past week or two figured out where I'm supposed to be again. And one video about the boo-boo, and that's it, you're off. But I think because I talked about my research in that and made it about the Nephilim clown stuff and kind of showed where my work has kind of shown me hints and kind of hinting what it could possibly be about. I think that inspired and sparked some curiosity in my theory again to a wider audience. The audiobook advert was at the end of that video as well. And I'm thinking that kind of jogged more views into that content. And then suddenly over the past 2 weeks, I've suddenly gained about 4 to 10,000 extra subscribers, and it's just put me over the line. So that's kind of how it went down. And yeah, incredible. And I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy that my work is resonating with so many people. And it's brought with it a brand new wave of dissenters, shall we say, people who absolutely hate me for what I do and cannot stand the idea that I'm denigrating these ancient traditional folk traditions and cultures out there. I just don't understand them, man. Christians have been talking down against other people's cultures for years, and you're no better, for centuries. And you should be ashamed. What you do is more evil than what these people do. It's like, really, I didn't realize what I'm doing is as evil as cultures that literally rip the hearts out of the chests of people to appease the sun gods while putting children in boxes drugged up with cocaine and burying them 5 feet under to appease the sun god and his father. Oh yeah, I didn't realize it's wrong to point out child murderers and human sacrifice cultures, and that's denigrating. Why? Because their artwork's pretty. Get over yourself. No culture is beyond reprieve as far as I'm concerned, especially when it comes to the truth. And no, I'm not going to be shamed into thinking like, oh, you're just a typical Christian out there, Bob. Yeah, well, we can't all be right. And I think Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the life, and the only way to salvation. And yes, as far as I'm concerned, all these other cultures can suck it. But yeah, I'm going to expose them for what they are. Demon worshipping Nephilim veneration cults who are ignorantly following bad spirits without realizing it. That's the truth, and I've clearly offended people talking about this recently as well, because I released a clip from my last live show where I was talking about dragons and their offspring, and I made like a 50-minute clip from that live show to put out the other day on Saturday, and for 5 days that clip has just been rolling along fine, got to about 17,000 views, and I woke up this morning to it being completely demonetized, and I put in a manual review to say I think you're wrong, and instantly rejected. So it's like a person's viewed this video and has deemed it not suitable for advertisers. Oh, so it was suitable for advertisers for the past 5 days, but suddenly it's not. And I know what happened. One of those people I just mentioned got a little bit butthurt and concerned and offended and reported me to the censors. That's what happened, So now clearly whatever I created there is considered insensitive to other cultures' sensibilities, whatever. People be loving their dragons and demons, as I said in the Telegram group. Yeah, but there we go. No, it is what it is, and with new grounds come new controversies and new battles. But it reminds me, when I was doing the little season stuff, it was kind of a bit easy. It was a bit of a captive market. It's a bit of an echo chamber. No one really. Sure, there were people who within the Christian community who disagreed with us big time and would, yes, debunk us and attack us in a certain way, but at least they were Christian about it. At least they were polite and nice and loving and were all about correction, and there was never really much vitriol there. But now I've gone back to the whole spiritual warfare, demonology aspect, human history, cultural history, anthropology. I've gone back into my roots, that kind of stuff, It's brought with it that crowd of really vicious, horrible, disgusting, vitriolic, Gnostic-y, New Agey, secular, atheistic types who just want to try to tear me apart like wolves. I would dare question the sacred guru cows or whatever it is, It's demons, bro. I'm going to keep saying it, and it's good to be back on the front line in the spiritual warfare aspect, and I think it's good that the channel's kind of realigning back into that. But that being said, let's get in the chat. Let's talk to you guys. Let's see what's going on. We got Wendy here. Thanks for being here, Wendy. Thanks for being a moderator for this long. My wife is saying, hey, not all demons are bad. Remember, yeah, someone left me a comment thinking they were being really deep, and they said, not all demons are bad and not all angels are good. It's like, no, you're wrong. All demons are bad. And yes, some angels are good, some angels are bad. There's some duality there, sure. But oh yeah, all demons are bad. By their very definition. There's no nuance with demons. They are bad. They do not like you. You are the enemy. Get over yourself. Get a grip. Yeah, so I thought I'd throw it out there. If they're listening, which I doubt they're listening. But those are the type of things I got thrown out. I got called a schizophrenic as well. And that's a classic. I've not heard one like that in a while. Let me see if I can't find that comment very, 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 very quickly. Is it there? Rock and rollers, congratulations. Joker. Sorry, I'm just reading out what I can see here. Clowns are not Nephilim. Okay. You, sir, are the clown. To literally demonize other cultures, spiritual entities, and holy practices is something Christians have been doing since the beginning of Christianity. Just because you lack knowledge of something doesn't mean that it's evil, but by demonizing something and categorizing it as bad, that should be considered evil. This at best is an interesting backstory for a fictional character like Pennywise the Clown. And I would say to you, sir, what makes you think I lack knowledge about these cultures before demonizing them? I wrote a book about most of them. I did my research and I looked into it and I found out what these cultures were all about, what they believed, and lo and behold, they worship demons. I'm going to call a spade, whether you like it or not. What makes you think that their practices are holy? What value structure are you using to define the folk traditions of the human sacrifice cultures out there as holy? Exactly. I don't know what you mean. The cannibalistic tribes of Papua New Guinea who eat people and white the skin up and put on red headdresses and take drugs and chew things to open up themselves to spiritual possession in order to gain strength and power to defeat their enemies. What's so holy about that exactly? What am I missing exactly in my research? Again, well, they have really pretty clothing. That's something, right, to respect them for? Well, maybe, no, I don't think so. Like, what are you even saying? Like, why do you assume I have ignorance on the matter before condemnation? What makes you think I didn't do any investigation before the condemnation? It's kind of, I think you, sir, have condemned before investigation, unfortunately. So there's my response to that one. Somebody said, one of the most interesting yet cherry-picked and unintentionally disrespectful conspiracies I have ever heard. Unintentionally disrespectful. Well, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. No, I think all cultures are worthy of review and critique, including my own, including the European cultures and the Celtic cultures and all the ancient traditions and then the rest of them. No one's beyond reprieve. This isn't about being disrespectful. This is just about actually examining the connections between all the cultures and realizing there's a common thread. Sue me. What else have we got? The lack of faith. Paul, no, that's not the one. Pretty prideful to think you as a human could understand any of this. What makes you the chosen interpreter here? You're just some random white guy who may have schizophrenia. It's like, whoa, talk about throwing out bold assertions and accusations. That's offensive to people with schizophrenia, to be honest, I would say. No, I don't have a mental illness. I am white, not that really matters. Does that make me incapable of thought or opinion? Am I not allowed to have an opinion simply because of the color of my skin? You, sir, are a racist. So there we go. And again, these are the kind of things that are suddenly getting thrown at me because I've gone back into the Nephilim clown realm. Because now, I'm exposing demons for what they are, and the demons within people clearly don't like the exposure that's coming their way. And the truth is, to these people who leave these comments, I love you, I forgive you, you'll get there, keep watching my videos, do more research, and when the demons do reveal themselves and come for you, which they inevitably will, call in the name of Jesus Christ and you'll be saved. Trust me, please. Listen to me. Just do it. That's all you need to do. Okay? And from there, you'll understand why I'm a follower of Christ. You'll understand that there's power in his name. I don't just believe in Jesus because of some words in a really old book. I believe it because of the true transformative, born-again power in having faith in Christ and being renewed in the Spirit and having the Holy Spirit there in my life to guide me and make me better, make me a new creation. I've seen the transformation in my own life by submitting to that true and only authority in this world, which is the Son of God and the Father Almighty in heaven. If you do that, you get right with God, you get right with his Son, and let the Holy Spirit guide you, you will change, you will transform, your life will get better, and you will tread on serpents. The demons will reveal themselves and they will flee in the authority given to you through him. That's the evidence I've seen and experienced to know that it is true. It has nothing to do with the religions you associate me with, the factions, the cults of Christianity, the churchianity, as I like to call it, which you falsely assume I'm a part of for some reason. The world's changing. Christianity is not what it used to be. When you think of Christianity, I bet these people think of Ned Flanders. I bet they think of the Catholic priests raping little boys or something like that. It's kind of, I have nothing to do with those associations or those institutions or those churchianity groups or those caricatures that you've made in your mind. I am a follower of the way. It's that simple. I'm not a part of a church. I don't associate with any of that stuff. I simply just walk in faith and in the Holy Spirit with Christ upright as best I can, follow his commandments as best I can, and understand that through grace, thankfully, I am forgiven for when I fail, but I need to get back up and continue. It's that simple. And without that guilt, that alleviation of that guilt and that shame and that law that was put over us, lifted off my shoulders, I am free. And you could be too. It's easy. You just got to ask and you shall receive. So there's some preaching for you guys while I'm at it. Because I think, again, a lot of people who come at me, they really don't understand what's going on. They hear like the Christian talk and they have these heavy weighted assumptions about what that means. And maybe because Christian is a weighted term these days that has all that baggage laid onto it now. And I know there are plenty of groups in the conspiracy world who kind of lean away from that terminology and that label for other things. And maybe people go down kind of like the Hebrew roots type vibe as well and go that way, but I'm not really all about that either. But at the sacred name of types, which again are brothers and sisters. I don't care about the language they use to talk about Christ, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. As long as they're talking about the Holy Spirit and the Father and his Son, I'm fine with that. What have we got here? He's done a show with Mike. What's that? What have I done? Are you aware of Stellium 7 and his work, says Giant Reality? Check out his Unveiling a Titan series and his work on Heartstones if you haven't. Giant Reality, I've talked with Mike. I've had him on the channel. Go find it. I think it's Geobiology or Biogeology. I can't remember what we titled it. It's one of the two with Stellium 7. And he's given me his whole presentation on this channel. And yeah, that guy's work is phenomenal. He's done his homework. He knows what he's doing, And he's a proper boots on the ground type of guy as well. He's out there doing the work, and his stuff on the Heartstones is unbelievable as well. And the picture it paints for the world that we used to have and what used to be on this thing that we call Earth is wow. Truly wow. Yeah, if you're listening right now and you haven't heard of Stellium 7, go and check out Stellium 7. Okay, and Mike's work. It's phenomenal. It truly is. It's interesting, and it's facts. He brings the facts. He brings the evidence. He brings literally the physical evidence, the rocks and everything, and he shows clear as day that the Earth is strewn with the remains of giants and giant animals, and just organs are everywhere, and petrified. A lot of petrified rock that we see was flesh at one point, and he has all the evidence to prove it, the biology and the science behind it all, and how it happens as well, and it's honestly, yeah, I'm gonna have to get Mike back on. I'm supposed to reconnect with him, but we keep missing each other, and it just hasn't happened again. But I will be reaching out to Mike to get him to come on, and I know he's been doing more of a podcast circuit recently. I think he's been on other people's shows a lot as well, and he's kind of getting out there finally, which is great for him. Well deserved. But that guy has a really interesting backstory too. He was like involved in like early internet hacking groups and all sorts of things. Yeah, this guy has some memoirs to write, from what I've understood. And I'm looking forward to hearing all that story too. I might get him on to try and tell some of that backstory. But yes, Giant Reality, thanks for the super chat. And yes, I know Mike. I do know Mike. Don't they know you have 100,000 subscribers, says the wife. Yeah, exactly. Move on, let him run and do his show how he wants. What am I doing? What's going on? Are people saying stuff? Let me have a look. Move on, Paul. Stop dwelling on the negative. This video should be a celebration and positive. Well, I'm not letting it get me down. Come on. But anyone who's been listening to me for long enough knows that I clap back when people passive aggressively leave narcissistic comments expecting me not to respond, and then accusing me of being the bad guy when I respond to their nonsense. It's kind of, I don't get gaslit easily. Like if someone gives me a passive aggressive snarky comment, I respond in kind. And I often share some of the ridiculous things people say to me. Quite go to the Telegram. You'll know this. This is just what I do. Is who I am, and it's more of a case of, expose darkness where it arises, and when people act like fools, don't let them just get away with it. As far as I'm concerned, it's bad behavior. Call me British. Maybe I'm like a bit of an old school British person, but it's kind of like I believe like, you do something wrong, you should be shamed for it. Like you should be exposed and shamed for it in a way, especially when it's petty stuff. Like I can let the big things, like I'll let God deal with that. But when it's petty stuff and I can deal with it in some way, I'll deal with it, as much as I possibly can. Love the balloons. Congrats, Understanding Conspiracy, says Andy plays some games. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, you can thank the wife for this. Complete surprise. Was not going to have this. This is going to be a very bland show tonight, but suddenly it's been judged up like a huge deal by these balloons, and I'm very happy about that. But guys, while you've got me here, I don't really have a particular plan for this show today in any way. I know I do a presentation on a live Q&A. This is a relaxed one. This is just a chilled out. We're having a back and forth. We're just talking. If you have any questions about anything at all, is there anything in the news you've heard recently you want an opinion on, or you want to just let me know in the chat. I'm here. You've got me. Let's talk for a while and let's just have a good time, like that person that comment wants to do, But I thought I'd just open up by kind of sharing an insight into where I am with the channel and what's going on behind the scenes. And the negative stuff is a part of it. It's my lived experience, and I've got to I can't deny my lived experience. I'm not just going to sweep it under the rug. I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm an open book. I'm very honest about what I do, and I'm very open about who I am and the things I have to deal with. Congratulations on 100k. Ever since I watched a video, I'm seeing clowns more clearly and symbolism in everything, says Sheila. Yes, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And I know my work's a lot to take in. I know you do have to invest 17 hours into the process to fully grasp every single aspect of this. But once you do, you realize I'm not just some crazy schizophrenic guy talking out of my ass. I'm actually pointing out the facts here as they are. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you found some value in it. Thank you so much. What else have we got here? Likely a narcissistic freak that called you that. Well, it happens. It happens. Oh yeah, I've heard about the Charlie Kirk situation. I don't really know much about him. I'm not in the political right-wing, left-wing politics sphere anymore. Every now and then I would get sucked in and for a little bit in the hype, but then step back out and go, oh, I remember the Hegelian dialectic method. Never mind. Two birds of the same, two wings of the same bird, shall we say, left and right, red and blue, all that nonsense, divide and conquer. But I understand there are good people on both sides, shall we say, who sincerely believe they're actually on the side of justice and righteousness. I would call them useful idiots. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it works. But I'm not saying they don't believe what they're talking about and aren't passionate about what they believe. And yes, it does seem like that culture war is ramping up to a bloody level, unfortunately. And I understand Charlie Kirk is more of the right-wing Trump supporting MAGA type voice piece out there, influencer. And I did just hear he got shot not that long ago, and apparently he's been pronounced dead. So that's very sad. Let's pray for Charlie's family in this time as well, and let's do the best we can to not let the division sink in, because lately it seems like they're really trying to poke the bear with a stick with a lot of the stuff that's happening right now in the media, or at least what they're pointing the camera at, because there's always been violence on both sides, and primarily the left is more violent towards the right. That is certainly true. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But what's starting to happen now is because of that complete and total dictatorial control of the left over the masses, the right is now rising up and clapping back, in a big way. They're kind of they've had enough. They've been so hyper polarized. The fights are happening now, and naturally the media will point to the right wing violence and say, "Look at these crazy right wing violence nut jobs," and not really, and kind of underplay the left wing violence. I know how it goes. Trust me, I'm not saying I'm not a liberal. I'm not like a conservative or anything like. I don't play that game. I don't play the left right nonsense. Okay, but I'm watching it, and I've been watching it for years, and I think the pendulum swing, which is by design, by the way, is happening now. And I think the right is going to rise in a big way against the stuff that's being shown to them, which is making them very angry. And not just specifically against, let's say, mean tweets and, insensitivities of the right, let's say, towards trans people or that kind of stuff, all that trivial nonsense. I'm talking like the racial divides, the immigration stuff, all that kind of stuff is bubbling up to the surface now. The rape gang stuff, everyone's sick of it. And I think I think they know this would happen. I think they planned this for a long time. I think they knew eventually the Anglo-Saxon in Europe, or the American right, or whatever it is, that the patriots will eventually snap back. There's only so far they can push them, because obviously being primarily Christian and tolerant and nice, it takes a long time to push that side over the edge to violence. Okay, because they are centered and have a higher moral principle, generally speaking, because of that, because of their faith, usually in their roots in the traditions of Christianity. But hell hath no fury like the Anglo-Saxon when he finally rises up, type of situation. And I think they know that. It's like a poem about that, I believe. And I think what's happening now is we're seeing that flip, that reaction. But the thing is, they caused the problem, and they are causing the reaction too. They want that reaction. That was the point. They knew this would happen. Okay, but the thing is, it's to implement more control in the long run. But to make it seem like an organic victory over the evils of the world, when really the solution is going to be exactly what they planned from the very beginning. And I'm seeing that happen now. The stabbing that has happened of the Ukrainian girl as well, that was shown all over the media. It's kind of, that's all done on purpose. They are showing all this on purpose. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm saying they're showing these things and the camera's on them now and they're put everywhere. Timed, not like perfect timing for them. It's kind of like, right, we'll use that now. We'll use this particular event. We'll ignore that one, but we'll use this violent one because that one has the better optics to forward our agenda. I think they're just playing that game all the time, and it's being led. You're being led like lambs to the slaughter, like lemmings over a cliff. But they're playing on your national identity, your pride, and they're playing on your morality. They're weaponizing your morality, because yes, it's not wrong to want to defend young women against violent men. It's not wrong to want to protect your nation and children and women from predatory migrants. It's not wrong to want to be able to be proud of your country and to have lower taxes and not to be run into the ground by communistic, socialistic ideals that are just completely bankrupting you. It's not wrong to want any of that to stop at all. Morally speaking, what they are doing is evil. And that's the point, But the reaction that's going to happen as well is going to be framed as a greater evil, probably. And because these people control the narrative through the box in the corner of the room. And most people who are reacting and having these issues and having these emotions and riling up are fixed to the box in their pocket or the corner of the room. So they're under the mind control already. And it's kind of, if we all just switched it off, things would change drastically. But sometimes I wonder if we're a bit too far gone for that, to be honest. I don't know. I have no idea. But yes, the whole Charlie Kirk situation is, I don't think we've heard the end of that. That's going to be another thing compounding on top of what just happened with that stabbing recently. There's more to come. It's going, and obviously we had the trans shooting of Catholic children as well. It's all kind of popping off, isn't it? Big time. It's and in the past, it's kind of I'm surprised they would have allowed those stories to get out into the media, but I think they're letting it get out. I think they want it out now. It's time to make the oppressed masses rise up and have their revolution. And it's always bloody, it's always brutal, and everybody on both sides loses whenever this happens. The only people who win are the puppet masters at the top who orchestrated the whole mess to begin with. And it's a tale as old as time itself, as old as corruption and secret societies itself. And look, I don't know what the solution is. I really don't know what, when it comes to these strong emotions, boots on the ground, when it's your daughters and your children this is happening to. I understand that my words mean nothing. I get it. What am I supposed to do? All I can do is stay focused on Christ, do the best I can to survive in this world and pray for the victims. And just pray for God's intervention as much as we can, and to help those who need the help when we can provide it. And just try our best to love one another and change society and do the best we can in a way to be the example that's needed, and to love one another, which is kind of the above loving your God, above everything else, loving one another and loving your neighbor is the greatest commandment, really. And I think there's a reason for that. I think, but then in my recent video, I talked about the traumatic effect of 2020 on the psyche of the population and the masses. And I feel like when people are traumatized and have PTSD, yes, behavior becomes erratic, wild, unpredictable, and dangerous, and minds become malleable. People do become schizophrenic. They get split personalities to cope with the trauma, and I think we're seeing that en masse. So it just seemed like a bit of an odd, terrifyingly hopeless situation. But I feel like if we can all get back to God, get back to focusing on ourselves, and get back to loving one another in our immediate areas, and yes, at the same time, calmly and collectively dealing with the issues that have been put upon us correctly, like immigration problems and the necessary deportation situation, all that kind of stuff. It does need to be dealt with, but there's a way it needs to be dealt with, which I feel like we're being pushed to deal with it more in a violent manner than the correct manner. Because there was always going to be an eventual backlash to all of this, and they knew it. So now they've got to control the synthesis of the situation. So I would be very careful of the media's attention, where they're guiding your attention right now. I really would be. Like but it's tough. Again, it's really tough. Like I've been watching for like decades. You know what I mean? I'm a conspiracy guy, and I try and look for ulterior motives behind every story, and I'm questioning every narrative that comes before me and all the rest of it. And I'm watching movements rise and fall, and political movements, and religious movements and the rest, and the politics. And I try and keep as much as I can, a finger on the pulse of that as much as I possibly can without getting sucked in, because it really plays on your morality and emotions, and long term, I'm seeing a constant flip flop back and forth between both extremes, just to cause a snapping point and a fight. I think that's what they're after, and I really think when the left fight, it's pathetic, it's petty, it's weak, and it's shameful. But I think when the right finally snap and fight back, I think it will be unprecedented. I don't think it's going to be the same as what we've seen the left do. And it will be a righteous reaction as far as they're concerned as well. It's going to be rough. It's going to be insane. And I feel like the controls knew this from the beginning. And this is what they're trying to foment. And I feel like the last time something like this happened, the aftermath was framed as the worst evil to ever be implemented on humanity ever. Okay? And that narrative has echoed for over 80 years since that time, So this is the problem, isn't it? I feel like they've done this before. I feel like this has been done before. And we're about that time for it to happen again, aren't we? Just the map's changed. That's all. The ideas haven't changed. The names change, but the game remains the same. That's a term I coined for a song a long time ago. Yeah. So there we go. Sorry, I rambled a bit there. But yeah, that Charlie Kirk thing, I'm definitely seeing that as possibly a straw that's about to snap the camel's back. And level heads prevail, people. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to catch up with the chat here, see if I've missed anything. That guy scares me. Blessings, brother. Trish, good to see you. We got Amelia here. Thanks for being here. It's good to see some regular faces. Oh shoot, I just saw the title and the balloon. Congratulations, says Anna Banana Republic. It's good to see you, Anna Banana. It's good to see you've been commenting on a lot of my videos recently. I do see the comments, by the way, but obviously I get thousands. I have noticed yours every now and then. I know you like to give your 2 cents. Thank you. Thank you for the support and for the interaction. The left are so convinced they are self-righteous, they believe any means are justified, which would almost make sense were they truly correct. It's a flaw in their doctrine. Yes, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying there, Feisiter. That's true. They definitely consider themselves the arbiters of truth and morality and goodness, and anything else is fascism. But the issue is when the other side, which again is the extreme of the side, there's always a middle ground, which is sensible, you know, and people on both sides, either side, which is sensible. But the extremes we're seeing of the left and the right, when the right reacts, they too are going to consider themselves the righteous arbiters of what is right and the morality, and what they will do will be justified wholeheartedly, no matter how violent or brutal, because of the horrors that have been put against them. It's going to be the same attitudes and ideas, and it's kind of they're actually not as different as they think they are when it comes to the actions at the end of all of this. You know, the rhetoric might be slightly different. The talking points are different, but when it comes to the solutions, which inevitably comes down to violence on both extremes, are they really any different then? You know? No. And people don't want to hear that. They really don't want to hear that. Because we're tribal by nature. And people have picked their tribe, they've invested in their tribe, they've identified with their tribe because they have no identity in this world, because they are godless, like, you know, and nihilistic. And this is their war. This is a hill to die on, because of what else is worth dying on in this miserable existence. Which is why I think people need to have a relationship with the Father and with Christ to finally get that peace they need to be able to see clearly. Because when you're seeing red, you're not seeing clearly. Or if you're seeing blue, you're not seeing clearly either, you know. Unfortunately, I agree, says Faceta. Yeah, I know, it's rough. No one's cause is ever righteous enough for certain tactics and behaviors. There's always a line. Exactly. Homegrown son, nice to see you made it to 100k. Oh, thanks for being here. Charlie's a right-wing talking head. Yeah, well, no, both sides have their own talking heads. Trust me. It's echo chambers against echo chambers against echo chambers. It's just not something worth getting involved with, to be honest. Nothing good really comes from it in the long run. Nothing good. Yeah. Anyone got any other things that have happened in the news recently we want to discuss? Let me know. You know, I've been looking around at the odd thing here and there. There's a few things I think worthy of talking about every now, you know, that have come across my desk, shall we say? But what do you guys want to discuss? Let me know. This is a 100k special. Let's just talk about whatever, you know. Let's just see where it goes. You know, it's the anniversary of 9/11 tomorrow, you know. Me and my wife were laughing about it, saying, you know, maybe it's a good job like it didn't happen on 9/11, because then everyone would be calling me a shell. People really would believe that, and they would all just the timing would line up, and it would probably be in bad taste to celebrate this on a day like that. So yeah, I don't know. We were just laughing about it. But I know Connor, who has the Cult of Con channel, he's going to be doing a special guest show after this one, which I think you may all want to go and check out for fun. It looks like it's going to be a good one from what I've seen from the thumbnail, talking about that particular event. Yeah, so let's not all forget that one, you know. The Charlie Kirk thing is having massive influence and implications, however the narrative is spun. Oh yeah, this is not the end of this. This is the beginning of something, this event, that's for sure. If Satan and Lucifer are not the same person, Lucifer's father is Shahar, as the Bible says, and the Statue of Liberty is not Satan. Well, Satan's a title, it's not necessarily a being. I think there are many Satans, adversaries, enemies of humanity. Serpents, snakes. I think there are many Satans throughout the story and the narrative. But I do think there is a big bad Satan, which is Belial. I think it is, or Belial. He's the angel of the title, Belial. And yes, Lucifer, I think, is the offspring of a particular angel, a Watcher class as well, who was worshipped as a god, almost as an angel himself, in a sense. And it's a really complicated, convoluted story. But fundamentally, the father is the same father, the father of lies. It's not the father in heaven, that's for sure. They chose a different side. So yeah, there's a bit of crossover with names and titles, and Lucifer, the light bearer, the light bringer, as it is, Lucifer is more akin to a entity that brought knowledge to humanity that humanity otherwise shouldn't have had. Collectively, you could call the Watchers Lucifer if you want to keep Lucifer as a title, because that's what they did. But even then, that was Samyaza and Azazel who did that one. But then there's been other ideas and considerations that Samyaza and Azazel were one being. They weren't two separate ones. So yeah, there's many Satans. There's many enemies throughout history. Yeah, absolutely. And many adversaries. Paul, would you perform live music in the UK? I used to do gigs and stuff. Yeah, I used to perform live music in my university days. And prior to that, I had a little band. Garage band, and we did a few gigs here and there. Very worldly, very disgusting lyrics. Not something I would sing much today. Seriously. Maybe for nostalgic reasons, I'd kick out the tune every now and then, but it's not something I would actually sing. So yeah, I have done lots of music publicly in the past, that's for sure. I have a few recordings left over from that, which I play every now and then here. Maybe I'll play one of them for you guys today, and maybe I'll play a quick one now, just to have a quick break before we carry on, because I do need to get some water. But if you guys would like to get some questions in the meantime while I'm waiting and I have a quick drink, and maybe we can carry on this conversation. What shall I play? What song shall I play? I'm wondering. I think you guys are probably sick of New Age hippie now, so let's try something else. I'll give you something different, something new. Where is it? Do I still have this account here? Damn it. I don't know if I have this account anymore. Let me just see if I can still do this one. Whoops. Nope, I don't have that. Let me try a different email address. I do have some old songs kind of stashed on a website. It's signed me out, and I'm not really logged in anymore, so it's getting a little bit more difficult to get these things. I think I found it. Problem is, adverts and stuff like that may play. Which is kind of irritating, I'm not really ideal with this, but let me see if I've got a couple of songs here. Here's one I did perform live, actually, but I don't want to play that one. I don't like that one anymore. Well, I would play my cover of Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, but last time I played that cover, I got a copyright strike, the fascist. I wasn't even allowed to cover the damn song. So maybe I'll play one of my own instead. Yeah, here's one I played. This is live. This is just recorded with a dictaphone in my shed back in the day. And for some context to this song, it's during my weed smoking days, which again, I haven't touched the stuff in like 6 to 7 years, maybe 8, a long time. I quit that stuff in like 2016, I think, or something like that, maybe 2018. It's been a long time since I smoked cannabis, and I quit vaping like 2 years ago. And I quit tobacco at the same time I quit cannabis, so it was all it's been a long time since I've been in that realm. But when I was in that world, I wrote songs about smoking weed, and partying and drugs, and still in the world, not saved, very new agey type person. And this is probably just one of those, I'm going to play one of those songs, but for context, I'm in my shed when I still live with my parents. I've got a couple of friends around smoking weed with me, and he's just telling a story here at the start about how one of his mates got absolutely messed up or something, I can't remember. And my music partner Adam is with me, and he's just jamming on the bass, and I've got the guitar in my hand, and I'm just jamming. And this happened. this song happened as a result. All right, so that's what you're about to listen to. And while this is playing, I'll play a random slideshow here of, let's do robots just to terrify people. Okay, there we go. I've got a random playlist of robot stock footage here of robots that could potentially enslave us all in the future. So while this is playing, I am just going to play for you. Apparently, I can't play that for you. Never mind. Okay, let me just play some sound and see what happens. Let me just play it. Yeah, okay, it stopped working. Never mind, I'll just play a picture for you guys while I do this. So anyway, here's an image, and I'm going to play this song for you. So there's some context so you know what the song is all about. And this one's called, funnily enough, Breaking Bread. I don't think I was meant to make a Jesus reference here when I was making it, but who knows? Maybe Jesus was working his magic at this point. And even I didn't realize where this would lead me, but here's Breaking Bread.
My auntie, do you know Joey? My auntie.
She knows.
Yeah, she knew, right? I used to go Bradford and fucking blaze at your yard, yeah. I took a 20 down with me. I mean, do you remember when I went? Yeah, I took a 20 down. And I was there, I said to her, no, I was rolling it, yeah. And she was like, fuck me, that's not wrong. Yeah, man. But anyway, fucking smoking this 20. She was like, fuck me, that smells strong, yeah. And she said she never smoked weed, like proper, yeah. Right. So I'll give her a suit of my suit, yeah. She had two drawers, yeah. Of my suit, and she was fucked the whole night, yeah. Fucked proper, like, head fucked.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
Go for it, man. Do it.
Fake cash on the window pane now. I say something about the soul and body. All I can see is rain, but I ain't no damn somebody now. The stains on the breaking glass, let drips come rolling in. Let's fill these empty streets with the bouncing balls and the dancing feet, yeah. Move as if you're flying high. Hang up those weird clothes. No baby, no, don't cry. Can't you see the bread has broken? Spark it up, man, burst the bubble. Fast round the Dutchie. Well, rock up lines on the Barclays roll. Yeah, you don't need it to rock free now. I feel I'm coming down on a somber, lonely cloud. Someone, please plug me in. I'll play these tunes till the night was there. More as if you're flying high. Hang up those weird clothes. No, baby, no, don't cry. Can't you see the bread has broken? More as if you're flying high. Hang up those weird clothes. No, baby, no, don't cry. Can't you see the bread has broken? Fuck off with the blokes, it's bread now. No more harshing mellow. I'll stick with the gentle rain and the sunshine lawns and the basking on, yeah. See, that's my perfect girl with the small red shoes and the necklace boots. She don't want no 2-7, just a reggae rock. Wear a skanking. Move as if you're flying high. Hang up those weird clothes. No, baby, no, don't cry. Can't you see the bread has broke? Well, move as if you're flying high. Hang up those weird clothes. No, baby, no, don't cry. Can't you see the bread has broke?
You wanna do fucking jam rock, man? You know it?
Welcome to Jam Rock, the camp where the thugs them camp at. £2 of weed in a band back in the... Yeah, Jam Rock, bloody hell. Back in the day, we used to listen to all sorts of nonsense, like Jamaican reggae music. The real hard stuff, yeah, that guy was into it, you know, and I picked up a thing or two. But yeah, there goes. There's a very old song. I think that's like 19-year-old Paul you're listening to there. What am I? I'm 33 now. Again, shill confirmed. I turn 33 the same year I get the 100,000. It's official. It's happening. Well, I've come a long way since then. But it's still, that's a jam. I like that one. I like that tune. Maybe I'll play a couple more throughout this stream as we go. But it was good to have a bit of a water, get back with you guys to see what's going on. What have we got here? I'm going to play this if the Giants ever attack. I like that one. Cool track. I like the flow. Yeah, that one developed slowly over a couple of years. It was a lot more rigid when it first happened, but as time went on and I got a bit more loose and better on the guitar, it just became that like slap heavy up strum, chill out, just say the words rather than sing them type of song. Yeah, that one. That's good fun. I can play it on the piano as well with the bass. I can have a lot of fun learning that on the piano. Yeah, that one's called Breaking Bread. But again, I've not played live in years, but that's me live. That was just recorded on the spot. There's no layering or anything. I took a phaser effect in there afterwards. That's all I did. Hey, where's my trophy gone? Sorry, wife, it's here. There's the trophy. That's right. Just, there we go. Perfect. He was a double agent all along. Absolutely. So yeah, guys, what's going on? Any questions? Anything anyone wants to discuss? That's it. What's Atlas 3i doing lately? I haven't heard much about this comet that's supposed to be coming in October. People have been asking me if it's the camp of saints, is this Jesus arriving, you know. And I think when Jesus arrives with the camp of saints for the little season situation for the new heaven and earth, I don't think it'll start off as a tiny dot. I think when it appears, it's just going to be, here it is, you know, descending straight there. It's going to black out the sun. It's going to blanket thousands of miles over an entire continent. And then when people look up, all they're going to see is just the crazy light effects of the underside of this floating city of God. You know, I think it's going to be just completely unprecedented situation. I don't think it's going to start off as a tiny little blip somewhere miles away. And no, I don't think it's the Anunnaki returning or anything like that, or the 13th planet or Nibiru, or I don't think it's aliens really, or I think they might play it off like that. Like maybe they'll make us think that's what's going on, but it's likely just an angel moving up there, and the media's put the camera on it and is making a hype about it because they want to get people thinking aliens are about to turn up. That's my theory. That's my theory. Sounds really young. Yes, I was young there, Linda. You're right. Very young. I stole it, the wife. Where's my trophy gone? Yeah. You're so good, Paul. Come to America and jam with me. Come to the Salt Lake City drum circle, says Jennifer. If I'm ever in America doing the tour one day in the future with the wife, because I know she wants to tour America in a van, you know, the kids are old enough to not, you know, need constant attention. Probably at that point in the future, if we get ourselves an RV and we'll just tour, we'll do an Understanding Conspiracy tour of America. We'll go through every state. Maybe I'll join you for that jam session one day, Jennifer. Who knows? Who knows, eh? Time for Britain's Got Talent, Paul. I would never go in anything like that. No way. Funnily enough, on that, Britain's Got Talent came to Blackpool, which is not where I live, but it was like a decent enough drive to get there. It's close enough, you know, northwest of England stuff. And when I was in high school, I was in soul band, okay? I played piano. First I played saxophone, and then I made my way up to replace the pianist when he was too old to be in high school anymore, you know, and they needed a new pianist. And I was, you know, a dab hand at jazz piano, and I knew all the scales, I knew all the chords, so it was pretty easy to pick it up. And playing the songs like Mustang Sally by The Commitments and this type of thing. In the soul band, the music teacher did get us to go and audition for Britain's Got Talent. We did not even get through to the interview stage with we didn't even get, not even close, you know, we just weren't that good. In fact, it was such a disaster on the day because everything was out of tune. Like everything was out of tune for some reason. My piano had been scaled up 2 octaves for some reason. I have no idea why. And the guitar was also out of tune. It was just an absolute mess. It was horrible. I don't know what happened. We choked. So funny you should mention that. But yeah, I personally today would not consciously choose to go on Britain's Got Talent as an adult. No way. Blue beans. That's right, Wendy. It's going to be a blue beans situation. Yeah, coming right around the corner. It's going to be complete political upheaval this month. Okay, because of what's just happened, everything I mentioned earlier. There's going to be riots in the streets. In Nepal, is it Nepal? Didn't they just burn down their entire government building that has like thousands of rooms? You know, one of those Millennial Kingdom many mansion buildings, you know, as we mentioned in the past, like with pillars, Corinthian pillars everywhere, white, you know, completely just decimated, burned to the ground. Nothing exists anymore, you know. And all the youth just charged in there and just torched the government building, and the government's like fleeing in helicopters from this. The massive people are rising up against the government because the government decided to ban social media. Imagine if we did something like that here. You know, I just, we're too polite, but clearly maybe the youth just have a different mind. I mean, I feel sorry for Gen Z. I mean, I feel younger millennials like myself, we have it bad. We have it bad enough, you know. Buying a house, forget about it. You know what I mean? Like that's terrible. But at least we lived during a time where there was a better time to remember. I feel like a lot of Gen Z had a lot of the core experiences and memories robbed from them from the COVID event in 2020, 2019. I think a lot of young Americans and high school students, Gen Z, who were going to graduate and finish, you know, never got closure and never got to enter the world and have those experiences that everybody gets to have, and just had to isolate, cut off. And I feel like in many ways they were then just expected to enter into a world they didn't really understand or had no preparation for. And their world, you know, they've always had a screen. Essentially, they don't have a time where it wasn't there, and all they had was screens during that lockdown period. And I think like everyone's isolated, cut off from each other. That generation, I don't know what they're gonna do now. And I feel like if an entire generation is just completely and totally nihilistic and desperate and knows it's bad. I'm not saying they're all bad. The Gen Z are not bad, but a lot of them are based as hell. They're really intelligent, you know, and they understand what's wrong and why what's wrong is what's wrong. They know where the blame lies exactly, you know. They have no shame in saying anything at all or fear. And I imagine that younger generation will probably rise up in the future, just burn it to the ground, like we saw in Nepal. I can see that happening, because why not? What else? What do they have to possibly lose? They have no investment in society as it is anyway, because it was all robbed from them, and they have no ability to even get on the ladder of trying to invest in this civilizational society. You know, owning a house, no chance. Having kids, what a dream. Marriage, no thank you. You know, all of it's just gone. They have no reason to invest. Dating, no, I'm not even going to bother with that anymore. Like, it's just all a mess. It's all terrible. It's all horrible. It's awful. It's just a bad situation all around, and there's no net benefit for me to get involved in any of those institutions of history and society. So they're not going to. They're checking out, and they're going to start something else and do something else, I'm sure. But when you do, that's a recipe for disaster, and eventually they're going to take over, you know. And who knows like what the future holds. And I empathize massively with Gen Z. And I think they can. Me and my wife talk about this a lot. People like pigeonhole all millennials as the same. We're not. I think millennials shouldn't have been lumped in together as one generation. She describes it as there's older millennials and then there's younger millennials, and that divide is not the same. They are not the same people. They do not have the same life or opportunities, and they are not living the same life right now. So you have the older millennials who are like late 30s, early 40s, kind of around that region, you know, and they do have houses and families and 3 kids and a job and pensions and all that sort of stuff. They managed to just get and they paid more than our parents did and the boomers did and Gen X perhaps, you know, but they still got there. They made it onto that ladder to middle class, whatever, you know, safety. They kind of roughly got there, and their values are still, just get a job, shut up and get on with it, get all that though your CV. They're kind of like, again, boomer light in a way, you know, or they still have that attitude that it's our fault that we didn't make it or have nothing or that type of thing. They still view younger millennials as like less than and spit on them and deride them and talk down to them. And we say this because we have family like this, you know, and we know what they're like, but they're not the same. They're not the same as the younger millennials. The younger millennials are a lot like Gen Z. Well, like, we got shafted at every turn and we have nothing and no ability to get anything. Like, it was taken from us. It was stolen from us. Our future was quite literally stolen from us by older generations as well, who were promised a lot of things that made them make bad choices based on lies. And they joined a lot of pyramid schemes, which are collapsing now, like pensions, for example, you know. And it's kind of, the whole thing is, you know, we've had the ladder pulled out from under us before we had a chance to get there. The rug's gone for the younger millennials, and I think like the older millennials are just up there now, and you know that gap has been made, and we can't join them. It's sad, and I think for all generations below the young millennials, then to Gen X and down from there now, it's a scary thing. So, you know, me and my wife are making preparations. We're doing the best we can to save as much as we can for our own children, so we can help them as much as we possibly can survive in the future world. You know, monetarily speaking, just the basic stuff. Stuff I wasn't awarded or afforded, and neither was my wife by our parents or generations before that. We have learned from the mistakes. And, you know, we don't get into debt. We don't get high interest loans for frivolous things. We do save. We do have a contingency plan for the year ahead in case everything does get taken away from us. We are not living paycheck to paycheck because we foreplan to make sure that never happens, and it's not a possibility to avoid that stress and those impacts. And it's kind of, we're always preparing for the flood, you know? And I feel like that mentality, I'm hoping a lot of Gen Z are also going to adopt. But are they even having kids? That's the difference. At least younger millennials still felt confident enough to perhaps keep having kids. But I think Gen Z are checking out of even that. I think there's going to be a massive population reduction, not only from an aging population that's about to die off rapidly, and a big chunk of the population is old, especially in the UK, because they are the boomers. There was lots of them, okay? And they're all about to die. In the next couple of decades, and that's the sad truth, they're going to disappear from civilization, and we're going to be left with older Gen X and millennials to replace them. And we had less kids, but then even the youth are no longer having children at all. It's getting less and less and less. So we're going to see huge plummets in population over the next 2 decades. And even immigration is not going to be able to replace this population drop as drastically as it's coming. You know, it's not going to happen. There's going to be ghost towns. There's going to be empty houses. The property market's going to crash completely, which is great for buyers like me who are looking for property. You know, supply and demand situations. But for the most people who have their wealth invested in their property, it's going to be hell. It's going to be absolute hell. That equity will disappear. And the elusive wealth that never really existed to begin with will finally be gone. You know, it's just scary. It's messed up, man. Like, no wonder I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like, no wonder you crazy people are here. Yeah, it's scary, man. It's scary. And yeah, God bless the awake Gen Zs, because I think most of them are. I don't think they can live in this world without noticing the truth about the situation that they're in and not looking for answers as to how this happened. Like, I think they have looked and they've gone, oh, we're being played by power structures. You know, I think I've been watching a lot of Gen Z influencers lately who are in that realm, who aren't conspiracy theorists. They would never call themselves something like that or identify as that, but they know. They're like, it's like they've looked around and they've seen the obvious and like, this is exactly what happened. 2020 was a huge power grab, and the mass distribution of wealth happened towards the top 1% of people in that time period, and the consolidation of corporate power was solidified during that time. While we were all locked away getting weaker and poorer, the rich were getting a lot richer and consolidating their power and authority over all of existence in humanity and creating that full dictatorial corporate control. It was so perfect for them. They were the winners, you know. And I think these Gen Z know this. They've seen it, and they're like, yeah, our future was quite literally stolen from us. Stolen. And I think they're angry. I think they're very angry. And I'm wondering when that's going to come home to roost. You know, when's that situation going to bubble over to what it is? Because right now they're too young, I think, to have any real social impact. But when they get into power, when they inevitably take over, that wheel of time turns and it's their turn, who knows how that's going to play out, honestly. I hope I don't die off too rapidly. Well, look, I hope most of us here have a long and fruitful life. I really do. I'm not wishing people are dead. No way. But it's kind of, let's just get the reality of the situation here. Is the maximum you can live is 120 years anyway, so saith the Lord. And with advancements in technology, maybe you're lucky if you get over 100 these days, which is better than what it used to be. But realistically speaking, most people, people die. That's just the way it goes. People get old and die. It's sad and it's the truth. But I think if we can get bigger picture outside of our own lives, long-term thinking about the consequences of this and how those demographic shifts change civilizations, I think we can get a better picture of perhaps what kind of future we're looking at here for our own children and our children's children. And that we need to start thinking more about the future generations rather than ourselves, which I think is a problem that many of the older generations have suffered through and have deluded themselves with, and made a mistake. They made a mistake. I think it's like the greatest generation, they lived a hard life so their children could have a better life. And then the boomers said, yes, I do deserve a better life, don't I? And a lot of them did go out and spend, blow inheritance, live for themselves, live for the now, completely disregard the future or future generations, and they just literally selfishly splurged and spent and got into debt and did not prepare for the future or the children's future or anything like that. Not all of them. No, this is not like all, but a huge portion did. And it came with a good reason, because after World War II and World War One, going into the 50s and 60s, and onwards, and the nihilism that came with the Cultural Revolution and the rest of it, God was removed from civilization. People were nihilistic about the optimism of Christianity and hopefulness of the future, and that nihilism did drive, after the mass murder of each other during those two wars, that optimism gone, the nihilistic, pessimistic, self-centered, narcissistic, egotistical worldview did take hold of most of that generation, and they lived for the now. Because why not? What else are we supposed to do? I've even heard my own parents speak with that kind of attitude, and it's not like they know that they think or act or behave like that. That's just how they are, because of they're a product of the civilization they grew up in and the atmosphere of the time. But as a result, we are suffering greatly now. Their children are suffering greatly now, and the grandchildren and so forth. And it's that cycle of, strong men create good times create weak men create bad times create strong men create good times. It's just an endless cycle, And maybe we're just going through that. Weak men created bad times, and bad times are now forging stronger men. Maybe that's what's happening right now. Stronger people ready to create something better, Maybe we're just going through that cycle. I don't know. I'm riffing here. I'm just talking, I don't know why you guys are even here listening to me. What's wrong with you? What's going on here? 120 is too old. I like the sound of 85. That's fair enough. Look, I'm not like a hater of generations. Don't get me wrong. I think we all got our own flaws and problems. Like, absolutely. But these are the trends. This is what did happen. I'm trying to tell you. I'm just telling the truth here, So please don't get offended if you're any of these age brackets and you think I'm like attacking you as a group or something. I'm really not. As far as I'm concerned, age makes no difference as long as we're all here for the truth. We're all sincerely looking, and it's never too late. So you're never too old to be born again and be saved. It doesn't matter to me. We're all just brothers and sisters in Christ, doing our best to get through and live in this world, and it's rough, My wife is the complete opposite. She's like, boomers suck, Gen X are hiding in the background, probably getting away with causing issues. Older millennials suck, younger millennials are just trying to survive and get rid of irons. We don't iron. And she's right, I don't iron. I do not see the point in ironing clothes. I don't care about ironing clothes. I really do not. It's a waste of time. An absolute waste of time. Who am I trying to impress? Like, with my perfectly creased shoulder lines and smooth fabrics. Like, that just sounds odd to me. Like, I really don't understand it. I don't understand it. Subjective truths. I get, well, yeah. There's a level of subjectivity to these truths, absolutely, But again, from my own lived experience, there's major problems that older generations do not want to acknowledge. They want to pretend like what I'm saying doesn't exist and isn't happening, and our own problems are our own fault. And to a certain extent, yes, I'm all for taking responsibility and doing what I can within my reasonable possibility available to me to make my life better. I will take it and I'll do it and I'll work hard. I do not shy away from hard work, okay? But opportunities are not the same. Wealth is not the same. The value we have of earning and buying capacity is not the same as what they were living through. They just do not want to see it that way, though. They have every excuse under the sun to deny that they did indeed have it better. Okay? And they didn't pay it forward. All right? That's what's happening now. And that's the truth. Okay, call it subjective if you want, but that's what's happened, and that's why there's such a problem with the property market today. That's why we cannot literally afford to buy houses anymore, because that generation hoarded the wealth and did not pay it forward. They spent it. That's what happened. Okay, and it's all about to collapse because of that. Absolutely, Paul. No ironing clothes, says Dochi. Yeah, you get it. Anyway, that's another rant. I'm going to take another break. We're on an hour, 11 minutes. This next song isn't me, but I did promise I would play this song to somebody who emailed me. And again, every now and then I like to just showcase other people's music, just because why not? Let's just help each other out. He's a brother in Christ. He sent me an email. His band, I think his band is Fletcher Not William. He sent me his music video here. And this one's called The Body is a Temple. And he did quickly whip up this music video here just to play it. And I'm going to play this for you guys. I'll share the screen. Let me just zoom out here. So this is a music video for you guys. A quick song just for a quick break. 3.5 minutes. I'll be back to carry on. Get some more questions in. Get some more topics in. And we'll keep this 100,000... Okay, it sounds hard to say that. A 100,000 special Q&A going. But here's a quick break for you guys by Fletcher Not William. The Body is a Temple.
The body is a temple that houses great divide. It's nourished for survival, but craves a different wine. It hungers to replace where the darkness congregates. The body is a temple of light. The body is a temple that hosts an aging strife, seeking full potential that alone it can't define. It boasts a forceful step until its final tired breath. Still the body is a temple of might. But who can define the heart and mind? How the two can reside in what's not mine. This flesh and bone is growing sore as I ponder what it toils for. Surely I was made for more. The body is a temple that stands on fertile earth, planting grand ambitions. The harvest measures worth. It reaps all it can take, but famine still awaits. The body is a temple of wants. But who can define the heart and mind? How the two can reside in what's not mine. Of this flesh and bone is growing sore as I ponder what it toils for. Surely I was made for more. This is all to say, I've lost my taste for endless pints of chilled complacence. I'm taking back the days unspent in ignorance and forgetless. I'm asking who can be mine, heart and mind, how the two can reside in what's not mine. Oh, this fragile skin uncursed to wear beckons for the soul's repair. Withering years and failing eyes are searching for a reason why. But this flesh and bone is growing sore. What's it even hurting for? Surely I was made for more.
And there we go. Fletcher Not William. The Body's a Temple. So go check that out if you like that. And yeah, like I said, I play people's music from time to time because they ask me to, and I'm like, why not? I've got the platform. Let's share each other's talents. So yeah, Elm K. The problem is manufactured by financial institutions. How could you be falling for the idea of blaming an entire generation of people over just those in charge of the banking system? Well, I'm not blaming an entire generation of people. Again, as my wife said, were you actually listening to what I said? Like, I'm fully well aware of the banking corruptions, the fiat currency systems, the Federal Reserve issues, and the printing of money and the people in control and how they use that to make us serfs and slaves to consumerism and the rest of it. And it's all orchestrated and controlled. I understand. But are we then just supposed to absolve the culpability of a particular generation for their poor decisions and going along with that narrative? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. I think a lot of people made very poor choices, which aided those institutions and helped them gain their footholds. And, collectively, it's an effort. People, the pave, like, what is it? They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, I would say someone collectively made that bloody path. Someone paved it, and those people who were paving that way to hell should have stopped at some point and may have thought to themselves, should we be making it easier to get to hell? Should we maybe stop making this paved, lovely path and leave it a dirt track instead? No one ever stopped to think, like, is this a bad idea? Someone's got to take responsibility for that at some point. You can always defer blame to the enemy if you want to, but then you can't absolve yourself of your own personal responsibility and poor choices. And that's what we're saying here. A large proportion of some generations made very poor choices and had zero forethought, zero self-awareness, zero thought for the future. Probably because they were living through, again, an orchestrated Cold War situation where they thought they could die at any moment anyway and civilization would collapse at any moment, And that's kind of what they're still doing to us today. They're keeping us in that hopeless, nihilistic, perpetual issue. I'm saying let's just turn off the propaganda and start being human again. And yeah, we can then drop all this generational difference nonsense. But as it stands right now, we're still living in that issue of the generational differences. And there's blame to be had on all sides. And I'm just pointing out some of the blame here and there. No, I'm not like blind to the banking system. Like, what kind of two-dimensional cartoon character do you take me for? Come on. Learn to have some nuance. We can talk about things, That song made me feel so sad. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make people feel sad. 93 millennials are the best. Sorry, I don't make the rules. Yeah, I'm 92. I'm addicted to worldliness and the idea of human control. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what the world's designed to make us. It's meant to be like that. I feel like the world itself under Satan's dominion, you know, even though it's Christ has dominion over everything. But in this illusory version of the world where Satan rules and everyone's playing under Satan's game and his dominion, you know, even though he has nothing and he shouldn't have that authority, the authority people are giving over to Satan, shall we say, and living in his paradigm, which most people are. It's designed like a casino or an arcade. Everything's there to get you, to entice you in, to keep you playing the game. Everything is in this world. It's built like that, and it's all just it's a manufactured structure, and it literally is. It's cities on Earth. It's places. You know what I mean? It's tourist attractions and the rest of it. It literally is a system. It's trinkets. It's technologies. It's pleasures, excitements, experiences, all this type of stuff. The whole world is just designed to keep you locked into focusing on the world and gaining influence and power within it. That's what it's designed for, and that's the devil's world. The real world has nothing to do with that system, that controlled, manufactured, artificial system, which is the devil's, is the earth, God's creation, living at one with the land and the people, being connected, communities, love for one another, trade systems rather than financial monetary systems, literally loving one another and just building something that actually works and lasts. None of this scarcity civilization of resources or this idea of planned obsolescence where things are built to break. Permanence. We build things for permanence rather than profit. You know, people start building that kind of world. I think that's something that may have been here once, that kind of permanence type kingdom. It may have already been here, and we're squatting in the remnants of it, if you want to get into the little season theory idea. But I think if we went back to having that mindset, that Christ-centric mindset, not Christ consciousness. I'm not getting all New Age, lovey-dovey Gnostic here, you know. But if we were all focused on the truth, and we walked as Christ walked and did our best to have that mindset of we're all one in God and in Christ. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all fearfully and lovingly made as unique individuals with our own skills. Let's work together to actually build something permanent, something beautiful, a real heaven on earth situation, you know, and take what Christ said as the kingdom is within seriously. You know, we have the ability to manifest it if we should so take that authority given to us by him to do such a thing. And I feel like we can do that, but it comes with first switching off the screen. That's all of this has been done because of TV, because of boxes in the corner of living rooms, for scrying mirrors in our pockets. We listen to what it tells us and we believe it. That's a part of the artificial control structure. It is. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all illusion. And it's all designed to keep us invested into it. All of it. It's all just flashing lights and pretty colors and ding, ding, dings and the rest of it. And the promise of reward. It's an arcade. The world is a giant arcade. Okay? And it's there to waste your time, take your money, and give you something in return that is cheap and will break quickly and will not last. It's to give you a quick rush of dopamine and keep you coming back for more, to keep you addicted to it. That's the world. That's what we mean when we say worldliness. People who are worldly. That's what they are, really. And there's lots of games you can play. Do you want to play the rich CEO game? Or do you want to go and play the bohemian Bali hippie going out there finding themselves game? What game do you want to play? You know, there's lots of games to play in this world. I feel like Christians stopped playing games. And also we stopped having fun when we have to play the games just to survive, because we still live in the world, unfortunately. You know, and there's some certain things we have to do unnecessarily, you know, because we might die if we don't. It's that kind of thing, you know, not of the world, but still in the world sort of stuff. And we struggle as people who are Christians to find the joy in playing the games anymore, because our joy is not in that. We find peace and joy in knowing the truth and having a relationship with the creator of the universe, of everything, with the Father in heaven, and knowing the truth. You know, that gives us the peace we need, where it's like we don't need to play the games to fill that hole. We have the peace, we're okay. And when we're kind of forced to play the games, it's like, well, you know, I'm not invested in it anymore. That's the difference. And I think I would love for all people to gain that view and that mindset and that focus on, it's not necessarily just about the now, it's about what comes next. You know, it's about caring for the next generation too. It's about planting trees so there's shade for that, so people can lie under the shade of trees I'll never see, you know, that type of stuff. We need that, more of that mindset, but the world is designed for now, not the future, not permanence, not longevity. Okay, it's an energy siphon. It's a time waster. Like, that's what the world is now. That's the system. That's the fake overlay on the reality of God's creation, which again would disappear if we turned off the screens. That's my belief. It really is. Now, to make that happen, I have no idea. I think we're trying. We're doing stuff. We're having these conversations. That's what this is. This is the start of it, you know. And to get people even just thinking about these concepts is a step that needs to be made, which is hard. It's hard to make people make those steps to get to that point. And I'm trying my best. Guys. I'm doing what I can. But there's plenty of people out there who are better than me, doing a great job too. So it's a collective effort. While they're paving that road to hell, we're building the kingdom. That's what we're doing. Would you say the world is Satan's simulation? No. The world, the earth, is God's creation. But Satan has overlaid an augmented simulation onto it. And we think that's the reality, when really it's not. If you stop to pay attention to God's creation, you realize it's not actually compatible with the fake systems we're living within, with the artificial systems that we live through. Even like the way our court systems and laws are based, it's all fake. It's all illusion. The rights, we give authority to the system and believe it has authority over us when we are actually members of the kingdom of heaven. God owns us, Jesus Christ owns us, and we're not actually under the jurisdiction of this earth, of the earthly law in any way. And even legally speaking, in the whole maritime law stuff, and you look into all of that, you know, there's loopholes where we can check out, and there's not a damn thing legally speaking they can do about it. But we play their system and their rules, and then we give them the authority to punish us, fine us, arrest us, charge us for basic human rights, all that kind of thing. And it's kind of, but that's really complicated, and that's not something people can very quickly realize and implement quickly. And it's hard. It comes with a struggle, a battle. I mean, bloody hell, it's hard enough just to get your kids out of school and homeschool them, you know, without the whole government system coming in on you and putting on the pressure. It's bloody difficult in the UK just to not pay your TV license, which you don't legally have to pay, without them acting like you do legally have to pay it and putting letters through your door and knocking on it and acting all puffed out and threatening an official, when really they have no legal basis or right for you to pay that license whatsoever. And no, you do not have to, and you cannot be punished by law for not paying it. But they'll tell you and make it seem like they do, but it's all just smoke and mirrors, you know. Who wants to watch the BBC anyway? Gross. You know, I don't want to watch it. Yeah, so it's interesting. But I'm not one of those like, the earth we live in with our flesh bodies is a Gnostic prison created by the demiurge. You know, I'm not one of those people. No, that's bullshit as far as I'm concerned. I'm essentially a Messianic Jew right now after leaving the Lutheran Church. May eventually go Orthodox. Again, bro, they're all traps too, man. Every institution, every religious institution on this earth is a part of that. It's a game. You're just going to go play the Ortho Bro game next because you're done with the Lutheran game, and you know you dabbled playing the Messianic Jew game for a little bit and it wasn't quite to your flavor, so you're going to switch over to this new taste instead because that one satisfies that thing you have, that need for tribe and culture, you know. It's all a game. Don't drop the label. You don't need any of those institutions to have a relationship with God. You don't need any of that or his son. Just ask and you'll receive. It's simple. There's a lot of institutions out there that want to overcomplicate salvation. They want to overcomplicate the free gift that was given to us through his sacrifice. And they say, yes, Christ and his sacrifice and accepting his gift, but you also need our church, our rituals, our pomp and circumstance, or you're not saved. It's a lie. So, seriously, man, go do that if you need to go and do that. But keep your eyes open and you'll realize it's all the same. It's all the same. Right, we're all packing and visiting Wendy. We're going to go see Wendy. I get serious about laser tag and paintball. What's going on here? Are we gonna go visit Wendy? Arcade, laser tag, and bowling. It's a good time. Yeah, look, guys. I'm not saying I don't have a good time living my life. You know, I do go off the principle that, you know, all things are lawful, but not all things are profitable. So it's like I don't feel guilty when I go and have fun. Okay, I don't like. I'm not what you call like a Mennonite or something, or like an Amish disconnect from the whole world situation. Like it's kind of, it only works when you give that kind of thing power over you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you can partake in something and know it's not good for you, and not let it control your life. Okay, but you can still have fun. You can still have fun. Like I'm not one of those. I'm not like a zealot. No, we're not allowed to have fun type Christians. You know, I'm not one of those people. I'd love to go play laser tag sometime. Don't get me wrong. And I've been paintballing a few times, and it's always a great time. Yeah, painful but great. Good for team building. Good for character building as well. What would you say is the best video to give a skeptic as a good introduction to all this, says Mace Fowler. I don't know. I mean, I've seen thousands of videos over the years. You know what I mean? I don't really save them as this is the one that everyone must see. Like I couldn't answer that, Mace Fowler. I really couldn't. It's a community we have here. I would say encourage people to get many of our opinions and videos in the conspiracy community from many angles and let them start their own journey. Start with something that interests them, a particular part of the conspiracy world that they need, kind of like that sparks that desire to want to know more, and that's different for everybody. There'll be a personal reason for most people why they need to look into a specific thing first. Like maybe you've lost a loved one in the medical institution, in the industry, and it's personal. And you need to know more about the corruption there, which will inevitably lead to all the other corruptions because you realize it's all connected and it's one giant web, you know. But maybe it's something that maybe someone lost everything at a job and all their money financially because of some kind of crash or some dodgy thing going on somewhere. And then they start learning about money and the corruption in the money system and the switch from gold back to oil and then fiat currency and the rest of it, and it's kind of the way money's just being printed en masse and the whole debt situation, who we're actually in debt to, and it all leads to one thing to another, you know. But you need to find like maybe that personal thing for each individual that will get them excited from the get-go to want to know more. That's a tip I can leave you. Maybe I need to make a tip for truthers about that specific point. The entryways for individuals, but it's up to us first to kind of gauge what would be the most interesting thing for them to start with, and then go out there and look for the best video. Because there's hundreds of people out there talking about these things and exposing it. So in terms of introductory, find out first of all where their door is, like, because there's many doors to enter into the arena of conspiracy. And some will be more appealing than others to the individual. So go find out first of all what kind of door would be appealing to them, and then go out there and do the work. What are your thoughts on Gary Wayne and his theories? I think he's an amazing researcher. I think he's done a great job compiling the Nephilim history and where they come from and how that all happened. And I think he's got some great theories and ideas about the day 6 people. And his some of it's down to speculation, but I don't think his speculation is ungrounded. He's done the work to back up his claims. But it's still obviously, we can take everything anybody says with a pinch of salt, with our own research and our own discernment, apply it and do what you can with it. But I think Gary Wayne's a great researcher. And I think he's contributed an amazing amount of research to the community over the years. I've got his book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. I don't have his second book. I know we disagree on the Millennial Kingdom stuff, but as far as him being a brother in Christ, I've talked to him twice on my own channel. You know, I thanked him in my own book for the advice he gave me for publishing my book. In my own book, I reference his work, you know, because I think it's of value. So he's a brother in Christ as far as I'm concerned. And as far as the research on the Nephilim go, it's solid. It's wonderful and should not be discounted at all. No, I like him and I like his work. We pay nothing because we barely watch TV. Yeah, no, we don't really watch TV. In fact, we're having a TV ban right now because we let our son watch a little bit, and we just don't like the way he behaves afterwards. And it's like no TV. We don't need TV. We watch it every now and then, rarely, when we're just too tired and we just want to switch off for a bit and relax and, you know, can't have like a semi-date night maybe, which is hard to have with two kids, you know what I mean? And maybe we'll watch a movie, and then usually we fall asleep halfway through the movie anyway. I'll turn it off and go, we're not TV people in this house. What's the biggest bruise you got from paintball? Thank you for your views. Love listening this morning. It was, I stupidly went through the first game when I got there without gloves, and I got the trigger finger. I got hit right there, right, like bang on the trigger joint, you know, and that was horrible. Like that was it. I was out for the whole game. Like I couldn't bend my finger anymore. I was in agony. That was the worst hit, and never again would I ever go paintballing without gloves. I was naive, young, and stupid. It was the first time. I didn't think. It's like, I don't need the gloves. You need the gloves. I'll tell you that right now. That's the worst thing I ever got there, Kerry. How and where does one even research these topics with so much censorship? Extremely good pattern recognition skills, maybe. Yeah, you've got to do your own work, and people like me on these platforms, look, we have a lot of nuance in what we do because we have to. I mean, I was there like in 2011, 2010, 2012 period, you know, the build up to the Mayan calendar, end of the world stuff. And then it was different. It was a wild west of conspiracy videos. And there was more information out there on YouTube and more videos being made and less censorship. And it was more stuff being readily made available, and the truth was coming out en masse, you know. And I kind of went through all of that, and I got all my degrees in numerous rabbit hole warrens then, you know, and now I'm just kind of living through that knowledge and thinking about bigger picture stuff and trying to connect dots in weird, my own unique ways. And you it's a process. It's a work you're always doing, you know. And nowadays, I think all those videos have probably moved more to social media platforms, and you find a lot in like X and Twitter and those places, and on forums as well, in Discord groups, in Telegram groups. Is like I have my own Telegram group, Understanding Conspiracy, and we're all sharing things in there that are keeping us up to date with what's going on and sharing ideas and theories and how it's going down. So it's kind of, the landscape shifted. It is a lot more underground, and you'll find a lot more people like me are on YouTube now. We're broaching the topics vaguely to inspire people to start going underground and finding out what we're talking about a bit more, you know. So you have to be careful just for the longevity's sake on this type of platform. You know, there's a game to be played, and I'm playing it because I want to reach as many people as possible with the gospel and the truth. And I understand there's certain things I cannot say, or it'll all get taken away from me very quickly. I think I may have even pushed the boundaries quite a lot in this talk with some of the things I've said earlier, the trigger words, you know. But I'm trying it, see what happens. Like, I don't know. You don't know until you try, you know, and find out where that boundary is. But at the same time, arbitrarily, for no reason, in 5 years' time, they could flag me for this one video, and suddenly it won't be okay anymore to have said that thing I said 5 years ago, and they'll give me a strike or something. That's just how arbitrary YouTube is with the guidelines and how it changes. It's always changing. Sometimes they get more lax about something. Sometimes they're more strict about something. It depends on the timing of when you said it, to what agenda they're running at that time. You know, it's a minefield. So I try and keep it as broad as possible. And I try and use clever language to hint at some of the things I'm talking about rather than outright saying them. So yeah, it's hard now. I get what you say. When you're looking out there online to find out where to research these things, it's tough. I would say try other platforms like Rumble, BitChute. If you're in America, the UK has been shut down now, so you can't use that. There are other platforms out there where people are saying these things more freely. I would say listen to podcasts. Podcasters get away with way more than YouTube content creators. So find conspiracy podcasters out there. They talk about a lot of things, and they get the guests on, the researchers on to share the. I've been on hundreds of podcasts sharing my piece, my bits, Millennial Kingdom stuff. I talked to Eddie Bravo about the Millennial Kingdom, Sam Tripoli. I've talked to Sam Tripoli as well about the Nephilim Look Like Clowns, you know, and I've been on bigger David Rodriguez. These are the biggest platforms I've kind of been on, but I've been on like all the mid-range conspiracy podcasts as well. Some of the big ones I've talked on the confessionals. It's like, that's just me with my one topics, but those guys get all the researchers on who have their niche topics to share their research. So that's kind of where you go to find these things. And it's a hobby. It's like a lifestyle. You're always listening. You're always learning. You're always researching. So it's tough. It's tough. You know, you have to actively be involved to get the information you need. And you're always learning. I'm always learning still, even now, even after like a decade and a bit, I'm still learning, you know. Jesus was born September 11th, died April 3rd. Thoughts? I've heard the theory that he was born in September 11th. It would make sense why they would do a mass sacrifice ritual on that date just to spit in his face in a way, wouldn't it? I don't think he was born in Christmas time. I really don't think he was born at Christmas time. Absolutely. I agree with that. All the other gods may have been born around that time that Jesus is often equated to being, like through zeitgeist and stuff. Jesus Christ is not a copy of these previous gods who are the dying and rising sun gods. You know, he is the son of God. I do think he was born around probably earlier, maybe late summer, early autumn time. I think is more reasonable for when he was actually born. Yeah. A particular Jewish feast time as well, I think it was, wasn't it? Have the Blurry Creatures show reached out to you? Says, no, they've not actually. No, they've completely avoided me. When I was, I'd speak to Joe from JT Follows JC, and he was on the Blurry Creatures talking about ancient angels being demons and, you know, aliens being angels and this type of thing. And they didn't air his show in the end. And they wouldn't tell him why. So he realized like those guys are probably just shills. Like they don't want the truth out there, or letting someone come on and say all angels are basically demons is basically they've then alienated so much of their fan base who do believe in aliens and space and the rest of it, you know. So they just weren't willing to let Joe speak on that on their platform at the risk of not being able to communicate and continue that content, because that's what they need. They need content by suddenly going and promoting the idea that aliens are demons. That would limit their ability to make lots of content about aliens. You know what I mean? So I feel like that did happen. And I would very much have the same outlook on the whole situation. And I'll be saying, you know, it's demons, bro. And maybe they wouldn't like that. You know, I don't think they would like that. Because they're talking about cryptids and all sorts of things, you know, and they very much have their group of people they have on their show as well. I think, don't they get people like Timothy Alberino on there, Indiana Jones 2.0. It's kind of, he's very much the alien proponent type of guy. And, you know, he has this this horrible habit, which I find some researchers in the community have, of calling the Nephilim the Nephilim. It's like, shut up, you pretentious absolute flannel. Like, what are you doing calling it the Nephilim? You're trying to sound smart or something. It's the Nephilim. The Nephilim. You don't need to add the eem to it. Like, there's no e on the end or anything. Like, it's the Nephilim. Okay, there's no accent over the I or anything. It's English. It's plain English language letters. Nephilim. Okay, the Nephilim. Have you heard? I don't know. I don't get it. But yeah, no, I don't think the blurry creatures will be reaching out to me anytime soon. I really don't. Danny L, good to see you. Don't worry about being late. It happens. We have a different pace of learning. Yeah, that's right. We do. Giving some advice there from Wendy to help people learn. It does feel super gross now. Have to convince the GF to get on board. To them, it's all about the money, not about waking people up, says Val. Well, I don't know. I don't want to cast this. I don't know the guys. I could be completely wrong on what I'm saying there, but it felt like that was what was going on and why they wouldn't air Joe's show. It's questionable. They did something. I know about it. I've got to question why, and I can only come up with so many motives. And the biggest motive I can think of is saying aliens are demons or angels limits their ability to continue the alien talk, which is content. So I'd rather just not go down that path. You know what I mean? That seems more. That's the least evil way I can excuse them for that kind of behavior, because they invited Joe on to talk. He gave a presentation and they wouldn't even give him the time of day to air the damn time he gave them. They didn't even pay him. You know what I mean? That's not fair. That's bad business. Okay, that's bad practice. Unless, if Joe was unpolite or rude or crude or was just really wrong about a lot of things and obviously wrong, and if there was no value in anything he presented, then fair enough. I can see why you'd hold that back. I've had to do that in the past myself with one particular podcast who came on. And after listening to him, I was like, this is absolute nonsense. Like, this person is just making stuff up, and they are clearly crazy and narcissistic and possibly a litigious psychopath, And it's kind of like, I can't air this in good faith. And I explained why to people, why I couldn't air it, openly. They didn't. They just pretended it didn't happen. That's not cool. That's not cool, Have you heard people saying the rapture is going to happen on the 23rd of September? Yes, that always happens every 23rd of September. I've made videos about this. Go back and check my other 2 years. Every September the 23rd, I made a video about this. It's just that time of year, man. It's all gibberish. And they will not apologize when the date comes and goes and nothing happened. They'll just move the date forward. Always happens. It's dispensationalist, Darbyist, Zionist, Christian prophet problem. It's the denial of the millennial reign of Christ problem. It's the futurist issue, believing that the rapture is yet to come, that causes these nonsensical things to happen. It's a bad look for Christianity as a whole, isn't it? Doesn't make us look good. Yeah, it needs to end. I'm not saying it's demons, but it's demons. Yeah, that's me. I am saying it's demons. Like I'm telling people it absolutely is demons, and I don't care if that offends you or you liked that culture and thought it was something else. You're wrong. It's demons. That's it. It's definitely demons. Demons cosplaying space aliens specifically, something like that. Watching you on another show, on other shows, is funny sometimes, not gonna lie. Yeah, I get a lot of people asking me some silly questions when I'm on podcasts, and I just tell them what I believe. I just tell them, okay, well, this is what I believe, and I lay it out. And sometimes I can tell they're like, well, she didn't say that, oops, that's not going to be good for the sponsors. I can tell sometimes they're not happy. But it's kind of, I am who I am, and I believe what I believe, and I'm just going to lay it out straight, I've had to do that a few times. I've had to correct some people a few times as well who have said things. Like, I've talked about the Nephilim clown topic a lot, and a lot of the podcasters I've been on want to take it down the Neanderthal, RH negative, descendants of the I can't say it, Davisof. I'm probably butchering it. You know what I mean? They bring evolutionary theory into what I'm saying, and they make it about race. Okay, and I always say, like, my theory has nothing to do with any of that. I think you're completely wrong. Like, ginger people are not the descendants of Nephilim. I have to. It says I've never once made that connection or said anything like that in my own book or writings or work. I vehemently deny that allegation. I think that's a ridiculous thing to say, and it's solely based on false evolutionary doctrine from the world, and is not biblically grounded whatsoever. And I think it's based on lies to make those assumptions and those conclusions. And I have to say that outright to them. It's kind of like, do not associate me or my work with that false worldview. Okay, I've had to do that a few times on podcasts because I'm not letting them shift my work down that direction. I'm not going to let them do it. I think, in fact, I'm weary of people who try and do that, to be honest. Shell Genesis, hey Paul, just want to say congrats on 100k. First time commenter here, long time lurker. You and your videos are a big reason I came to Christ, so I just want to say thank you. Well, Shell, I'm humbled to hear that. I'm glad you like what I do, and God bless you for coming to Christ. That's amazing. It's amazing to hear, and that's what it's all about. That was the point of everything I do. It's good to know what I'm doing is in some way facilitating people finding Jesus. I'm humbled to hear that. Thank you so much. Nice balloons, Paul. Congrats. Yeah, again, the wife got surprised me with these today. I was very happy about it. Technically, brother, the eem in Nephilim is pronounced eem because it's plural. Bullshit. No, it's not. If it was plural, it'd have a different spelling. That's how you define the difference between... you change the word when it's plural. You know, one octopus is octopus. Many is octopi. It's a different... the word doesn't change. It's Nephilim. And look, if you want to talk about a bunch of Nephilim, then say a bunch of Nephilim, not a bunch of Nephilim, as opposed to a singular Nephilim. We don't do that. You don't need to do that. Nephilim works plural as well as singular. People say Nephilim because they think it makes them sound smarter. That's what it is. Okay, that's what's really happening. I'm telling you that. Don't gaslight me. Like, I know this. So this is the truth. Yeah, but I'm just saying. So I got super chats here. Archipegio, thank you so much for the super chat. And again, truth in song. No hate or anything. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Thanks for the support anyway. I appreciate it. Yeah, Vibes of Cosmos is Gnostic. I don't know if Vibes of Cosmos is Gnostic or not. I'm aware of his moon map representation, but I don't know his personal beliefs. So I couldn't say that. Sorry guys, just trying to catch up with the chat. While I am doing that, I'll play you another song while I know. It's the 100k special. So let's play one of Paul's classic songs from when he was not saved and still living in the world age. Just to see how far we've come. How about we do... Oh, I don't know. What have I got here? I've got... Because the problem is a lot of this is cringe. So I don't know what I'm going to choose. I'm my own worst critic. You know what I'm saying? I do have a cover here of Closer by Kings of Leon. It's something that's always been kind of close to my heart. This song, I don't know why. Maybe because it's talking about something's coming and we need to pay attention to it, you know, and it's got a lot of prophetic symbolism in the lyrics and this sense of looming, ever-coming disaster that we need to be aware of, you know, and I feel like it's always spoken to me on a spiritual, deep level, even though I've never really understood the lyrics in the past. But now that I'm saved and I listen back to it, you know, it's very much me in terms of like subject matter and style and thought processes. So I'm not surprised I like this song so much. But in terms of the style, you know, that slow rock style they have with Kings of Leon, I turned it into more of like a finger-picking folk, bluegrassy version, my own style of the song. And this is what came out of it. So enjoy this for a little bit while I just have a quick break, get some water downstairs, and I'll come back for the last 10 minutes of the show. So here it is. My cover of Closer by Kings of Leon.
Hey Tads, want to listen to your music in peace? Sign up for SoundCloud Go so you can listen.
Unfortunately, adverts have to play first. Sorry, guys. Technical glitch. I'll remove this from the podcast, but any minute now, the advert will stop and I'll play the song. So just give me a second. I think there's like 10 seconds left. Ready? And the song's about to begin. Here we go, guys. Closer by Kings of Leon. Take 2.
Ready to sail into the...
Nope, that's another advert. See, technical issues. This happens when it's live. Some of these things are unavoidable. It is what it is. The long adverts as well. This is the ball. Like, it didn't used to be adverts on SoundCloud, you know. Things have changed. I'm not liking this, you know, but this is kind of where I've got my stuff saved. I think it's even hidden, to be honest, but I need to get my own MP3s, which I do have buried somewhere on a hard drive, but not right now. Here it is, guys.
Stranded in the smoky town, stoplights swaying and the phone lines are down. This floor is crackling cold. She took my heart, I think she took my soul. With the moon I run, far from this carnage of the fiery sun. And it's coming closer, driven by the strangler vein, showing no mercy. I do it again. Now open up your eye. You keep on crying, baby, I'll bleed you dry. These skies, they blink at me. I see the storm bubbling up from the sea. And it's coming closer. And it's coming closer. You shimmy shook my bones, leaving me stranded all in love on my own. Now do you think of me? Where am I now? And baby, where do I sleep? Feel so good, but I'm old. These 2,000 years of chasing, taking its toll. And it's coming closer. And it's coming closer. And it's coming closer.
I was a dramatic little edgelord at one point, wasn't I? Yeah, there you go. Bit whiny, isn't it? Is that on par with hooting and hollering core? I hear that's popular these days. I don't know. I was doing it before it was a thing. Clearly, I feel like if I sang that now, my voice would be a bit deeper. Because I am like 15 years older, so maybe there would be a difference. But I do sound young in that, don't I? On the trail of the Nephilim. I know, right? When I hear it, it hits the ear wrong. It sounds ridiculous. And I am, guys, just gonna have to quickly disconnect the camera because it turns out it's not been charging this entire time. So just bear with me. I'll be gone for a second. There we go. Let me plug that back in. Hit webcam, and we are charging. And I am back. There we go. We did it. I'm slightly zoomed out now. Whatever, I'll let it ride. That's fine. So we're back. Yeah, people are just laughing about the Nephilim thing. New Age hippie, yeah. I'll close out with New Age hippie for fun. But you've got me for another 10 minutes or so, guys. And we'll have a bit of a back and forth, okay? My wife's like, oh, heck, have I come back for the ginger hate? No. Hick Maury, now that you're 100K-er, what advice would you give to people who want to start their own Christ-centric channels in 2025? Should we quit our soulless jobs now? I mean, look, I got lucky. I got very lucky. I could try and give you advice on how this happened, but it's completely arbitrary. I started the channel in 2014 called Understanding Conspiracy, fresh out of university, because I spent university researching conspiracies and made my artwork about it, and the channel was the product. I got graded on it, and it got me a 2-1 diploma in fine art at the end of it all. But I very much, when I started the channel, I was just making it up. I was winging it, I was just very much into conspiracy theories and wanted to contribute to the community, and I did the best I could to connect with bigger channels with my tiny little 100 subscriber, 1,000 subscriber channel, and I tried a lot of things. I in my early days, when I was overzealous and dumb, I would attack other channels thinking they were shills, you know what I mean? Because nobody gets to 100,000 unless they're sold out type of attitude. And I attacked other people as well, because that was very much the culture back then in conspiracy. No one trusted each other. Everyone was divided, and I suppose I wasn't really helping. And I did want to bring people together as well, but I was getting swept up in the anger and the movements and the passions and the morality issues and all the horrible things going on around us. And I was very much falling for a lot of the early things you fall for when you first wake up, and the early channel kind of reflected that quite well, that I was very much just going through the motions of trying to deal and process the information I was discovering. And as I was fumbling through all of that in that early time period from 2014 to like 2018, I got slightly more refined. I solidified my faith in Christ, after being born again, and really very much an early Christian. And I was trying my best to fight Christ's corner as much as I can, as someone who was ignorant to Christianity, just learning, just fresh. And I made a lot of mistakes. I made some videos I'm not proud of. I got into fights that were unnecessary, or some that I thought were righteous, which backfired and caused more problems than good. And I kind of just spent a good few years just trying to find myself and who I was in my newfound faith in Christ. And again, the early channel kind of reflected that, while I was also trying to fulfill my main ethos, which was, I don't like the quality of conspiracy videos that are online right now. I think they're terrible, and I don't think they're convincing people of anything. I think they're pushing people away because their presentation's awful. So I kind of tried my best to live by the example and make things better in a way. I'm not saying I did or succeeded in any way in doing that. I think I've made some pretty crappy videos here and there. My quality's only recently just gotten better since my wife met me and told me why my thumbnail's so terrible. What are you doing? And I was like, oh my God, she's right. So I kind of made them slightly better only in the past few years. But the idea was, let's understand the conspiracy as a whole and see where we can find some common ground and find out what really is going on here with the factions in the truther culture. And it did just organically develop over time. People started kind of understanding what I was trying to do a little bit and joined in. A lot of people left, some came, and I ended up stopping in 2018 because my workplace found the channel and basically gave me an ultimatum. It's either you work for us or you have that YouTube channel. You can't have both. So I chose working for them for the wage because it's easier. And I was scared, and I had debts, and I had stuff I needed to do, and I spent 5 years in the world pretending to be a supermarket manager. And I learned a lot in that time. I think God gave me that time to calm down, touch grass, connect with the community, connect with people, learn a few skills in management, and solidify some finances, get a foothold, work on myself, focus on losing my addictions. And I think a lot of work was done to me in that 5-year hiatus, which I look back on and I'm thankful for. But things started to happen which were pushing me out of the company, which I think were God trying to tell me it's time to leave. Like public attacking me, backstabbing at work, being moved around, being messed around for promotion. Those are terrible things were happening, which made my wife just say to me, let's just quit, because she was working for the company at the same time by that point. And it's like, let's just quit. We don't deserve this. We don't need this. We don't need them. And I was scared, but I trusted her, and we did, and here I am now. And we started on my own company as a wedding photographer. For 2 years, I was a wedding photographer. From 21 to 23, I was really kind of doing that, but it tapered off after a good first year, not a great second year. But by that point, I'd started the channel up again. I picked up where I left off with the Nephilim Clown thing, which I was kind of working on back then, though those early videos in the Nephilim Clown series aren't very good. The ramblings of the insane, that was slowly coming into a kind of a formulated theory and idea. But when I came back in 23, I really hit the ground running with the Nephilim Clown stuff and picked up where I left off with this brand new attitude and outlook. I had calmed down a lot and I gained some focus, and I think that passion, that drive, that sensible demeanor really appealed to a wider audience, and the channel grew. And before I knew it, within a year I had like 30,000 subscribers. And then I started discussing the little season stuff, because I just couldn't leave it, because it was up here and I was like, this is amazing, this is blowing my mind, I have to tell people about this. And I made a video about it, and it's on like 500,000 views now. And I think I inadvertently revived a movement, because prior to that, people had been talking about it, were like channels that were like disappearing or not as well known, or like Conspiracy RS did some great work on it in the early days. That channel, Exploring Tartaria, did some great work, but then she vanished, became a Catholic, and took down all her videos. And I was like, I can't leave this idea. This is too much. It's too important. So I made a video in my car that's gone ridiculously viral and is still getting views to this day. And then I started communicating with smaller channels who were still talking about it, and we started connecting and getting together. And next thing I know, now there's an entire cult dedicated to the damn thing, and it got weird. But in that time, the channel just blew up and it became more of what it is now. And my channel is very much a spiritual warfare channel and an eschatology channel, and everything else in between conspiracy related, as I just try and put the puzzle pieces together. And I've never been one to just focus on just one topic, so that's why I've kind of cooled it on the Millennial Kingdom stuff, because I don't want to get pigeonholed, because I don't want to be the leader of some weird cult movement. As much as I believe the theory is true, I think people tend to hyper identify with subcategories too much sometimes, and I don't think that's healthy. And I didn't like that, in a way, people were putting pressure on me as though I should be like a leader of this movement in some way. And unfortunately, it's the leaders who get killed when it comes to stuff like this. And I'm not looking to do that. I'm not looking to put myself or my family in that kind of danger, So again, I backed off on the little season stuff. How about 5 months ago? So I don't know now. I've not really been counting. I still believe it. All my videos are still up. I did a year's worth of work on that, I did nothing but work on that. I've put out hundreds of hours and interviews and discussions, and I've spread the idea as far as I could, because I think it's true, on these podcasts. I think I've done enough. So when I cooled it on that, the channel took a huge dive. It went flat. No one was viewing my stuff anymore, really, because my viewership was like split into what they wanted me to talk about. And only just recently, arbitrarily, randomly, the algorithms put me back onto the spiritual warfare demonology side of things, and that's bringing more views to the channel, which is bringing more people, and here I am at 100k randomly. Now, take that story for what you want and learn what you want from that story. I don't know how the hell I ended up here. I just did. It happened slowly over a 10-year or a decade period, organically, just by networking, talking with other people, believing what I preach, and being as genuine and honest and open as possible throughout, and as transparent as possible when possible. And I suppose it came with a leap of faith and believing in myself as well. And I was just blessed and lucky enough that in those early years, early days when I came back to YouTube and I was self-employed, this channel started earning enough ad revenue for it to actually support my family in some way. Then I wrote the book, published the book, and that gave me a whole new revenue, which solidified that I can do this full time now. And I guess now in a way I'm an entrepreneur, and I earn my money by producing things of value. I'm an artist. People pay me for commissions. I'm doing a drawing right now of somebody's sadly passed away dog and their best friend, their cat. And I'm almost finished that. I don't want to show you now and spoil it, but someone paid me to do that commission. I've got other people who want me to do more commissions and drawings. So I finally get to be the artist I always wanted to be in that respect. And I make videos, I make my own adverts. I write my own books. I produce as much value as I can just from myself. I do what I can with the skills I've got. And thank God and Jesus Christ that I can live off this and support my family doing what I love. I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed, and I have you listeners to thank for this too. And all praise goes to God for just allowing this to happen. Like I have always said my entire life, even as a child, even as a teenager, something's looking after me. I didn't know how to articulate it in the past, because I wasn't a believer. I didn't know anything about Christ, But there was always this comfort throughout my life that something's there. Something's watching over me with positivity, not like I have demons or something, They're helping me. They keep me safe, like a guardian angel type situation. And now in hindsight, I realize that God's always been there with me. The Holy Spirit's always been there watching out for me and guiding me, giving me a conscience, putting me through trials and tribulations to sharpen and strengthen me in many ways, and it's like no matter how bad it gets or got, and how hopeless things often seemed, and how stressful things became, because they have, I always end up falling ass backwards into a pot of gold. It's kind of the phrase I've always used. I end up stumbling and everything just works out miraculously, and I'm better off for it every time. It just keeps happening like that, which is why I've always said something is looking after. A higher power is involved in some way, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but somehow everything always works out. And I understand now that is God. That's the Father in heaven and the Holy Spirit and His Son, all working in tandem in whatever weird way that is. I don't claim to understand the mystery, but it's happening. And He's worked to work in my life. That's put me in this position now where I get to preach the gospel. Even though I'm not a preacher, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm like, I don't know why I've been put in this position. I don't feel like I'm the best person to be doing it, but here I am. I get to help people with spiritual warfare issues and give them the tools necessary to defend themselves. I get to do what I love every single day. But I always try my best never to lose the focus of the fact that I am doing this for Him. Okay, I am His servant at the end of the day. I am doing the will of my Father as much as I possibly can. And He has rewarded me, blessed me and my family abundantly for it. And I take nothing for granted, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. So with that being said, I guess that's probably the end of the podcast. We'll be on 2 hours, 13 minutes. It's been a great show, guys. 100K special Q&A. It's been fun. It's been interactive. Are you baptized as an adult, Paul? I wonder, because once someone tried to hypnotize me and they said it wouldn't work because there's an angel in there. I don't know if I was baptized as a baby. I don't think I was. My grandma was a Catholic, a devout Catholic, and in a way, I suppose her faith has always inspired me and been there as a part. I did pray as a child because of her, so maybe that's always been there as a connection. But I think I baptized myself inadvertently in a bathtub when I was born again in March 2014 in a hotel. Because that's when I felt the power of the Holy Spirit take over, and that's when I truly changed and was born again and became a new creature. And the old self died away from that day. So I think I did baptize myself, but I don't think I did it in the traditional church means. That's, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I feel like that's what happened. I don't know who's a Freemason that channels demons for money and fame. Okay. Would you say that getting attacked online just comes with the territory of being a Christian conspiracy theorist? What advice can you give on that? Taking the plunge, have thick face, leap of faith. Oh yeah, you're going to get attacked online, but I would say just ignore them. Just move on, keep doing what you want to do. The only thing trolls want is clout and attention. I have people out there who hate me and do everything they can to try and put me down, deride me, accuse me of anything under the sun. And you know what I do? I don't listen to them. I don't read their shit. I don't pay attention. I ban, I block, and move on and do my own thing and just get on with it. Who gives a shit about what those people think and do and say? Like, why should I let them affect me and what I do and my work and my passion and my drive in any way, shape, or form? They're just bitter, jealous, narcissistic, psychopathic trolls who clearly have demons in them, who are jealous and angry and bitter, and that's their problem, not mine. That's just how you have to live your life if you want to be in this game. You've got to have a thick skin and move on, ignore, and just get on with it. If you have something to say it. Forget about the critics. Ignore them. That's it. Now, that isn't to say, don't listen to people who are sincerely giving you constructive criticism and feedback in the comments, but when someone's disingenuous. You know it. You know when they are. And if you ever defend yourself, never let them say, how dare you defend yourself? What's wrong with you? That's not very Christian, or something like that. Gaslight you into making you think you're now the bad guy because you dared to defend yourself against them. No. Stand firm, stand righteous, you got God behind you, and just say, screw you, you're wrong. And don't apologize. That's it. That's all the advice I've got for dealing with people like that. Yeah. Right, guys. Chad, thanks for that last minute super chat there. I really appreciate it. I'll end this show with New Age Hippie. Yeah, we'll do New Age Hippie just to close this out. Another song of mine. This is when I was coming out of that phase and going more into the Christ phase when I wrote this song. More modern, one of the more newer songs of mine, but still quite old. Maybe about 8 years old now, something like that. But this one's called New Age Hippie. If you're interested, guys, you can support me by buying yourself a copy of The Nephilim Like Clowns on Amazon. I will be getting another batch of books in eventually for signed copies as well. So if you want to get a signed copy of The Nephilim Like Clowns, email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com and we can get that sorted. For those who have emailed me recently, the 3 people who are after signed copies, I don't have any right now, but I will be making an order very soon, and it usually turns up in about a week. So if you want to get pre-orders in now for that, guys, or you want to get it sorted, I will email you back soon who have emailed me already, and we can get that batch boxed off. So just let me know, guys, if you would like a signed copy. Make sure to get an audiobook as well while you're at it. I haven't played any adverts during this one. I'm going to put this is a music-centric show instead. But yeah, go and check out the Nephilim Like Clowns work if you want to support me and get something of value, or even check out the Fourth Wall merch store. I do have a whole line of merch available now that's Truth or Therapy session themed or Nephilim clown themed. So go and check that out too. Links are all in the description. But with that, guys, I'm going to leave you with New Age Hippie. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.
Tell me, what do you seek? I see you're after mystery. I bet you're a new age hippie. I could be wrong, it's
It all depends, do you drop acid with your friends in the hopes of seeing something pretty? How do you like it underground where the bass is bouncing all around and you're dancing to something trippy? Well, walking home is no fun when eyes are wide and jaws are numb and you got no shades in Sunrise City. Someday you will say that there's only really one way, and you'll know about the names that change while the game remains the same. For shame, I bet you're trying to ascend and consciousness is your best friend. Come on man, you're a new age hippie. I bet you think you're a god, and in the end you'll rise above the thrones of the all high and mighty. Duality's your deity, your mantra is it came from me. You'll yell it loud, proud and haughty. Well, don't you know it's all a lie, and when you do, you can't deny. My, what a pity. Ah, well, someday you will say that there's only